The tentative title for this movie is The Peasant King, and it sort of asks a question about control. What is control, and how do you actually get it? And is it possible to get it when all the people that have it were born with it? And it takes place in the Middle Ages, somewhere around the time when Louis XIV was in reign. And if you don't know about Louis XIV, he was the Sun King of France. He was one of the most notorious leaders, monarchs of the Middle Ages. Is it the Middle Ages? It's around 1500s, pretty much. And our main character is in active opposition to this monarch. I don't know if it's actually going to be Louis XIV. It might be a fictional monarch, because if I make it Louis XIV, I might be a bit stressed to make it historically accurate, and if it's not, it could be a bit dissatisfying. But the main character is a peasant. He's a serf, meaning he's basically enslaved. I don't know if you know much about serfs in Europe, but it was a lot like how slavery was in America, except it wasn't as brutal, I don't think. Like the brutality of it, the punishments for trying to escape, shit like that, I don't think it was as terrible and horrifying as it was in America. I could be wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he's a serf. And he somehow manages to puppeteer the royal family in some way through manipulation tactics. Throughout my life, I've read a lot of books about manipulators and people with influence. And I would say those are two sides of the same coin. People who manipulate are doing it with their manipulation is persuasion without ethics. It's persuasion to make someone do something they don't really want to do. Influence is trying to get someone to do something that's good for either the well-being of everyone or the well-being of themselves. And I think this main character is going to be someone who needs control. I don't know why exactly they're going to need control. My main theory right now is I think he's going to have his daughter taken. And I know what you're thinking, this is going to end up being like fucking a Liam Neeson movie. It's not. What I'm thinking is his daughter has this weird power. There's going to be some fictional supernatural powers going on in this universe. It's not going to be completely realistic, but his daughter's going to have this power to make anyone she is around feel happiness. No matter who it is, they feel true happiness for like no reason other than being around her. And obviously young children and babies can just do this to people in the real world. And frankly, that in and of itself is a true superpower. Incomparable to almost anything. I have to fucking sneeze, dude. I have to fucking sneeze. Oh, it's building up. It's building up. It's coming. I feel like I'm going to lose it, though. I feel like I'm going to lose it. Anyway, I'm just going to keep talking. So, the king of this realm, let's call it France. Let's say it's France, because I love talking about medieval France and how it used to be and how it was. But really, just somewhere in Europe in the 1600s. And to give the feel of this being such a long time ago, and also for stylistic reasons, I kind of want to make it feel like it was shot in the 1970s. You know how movies look different today? They look so much more polished and clean compared to a movie, say, like The Godfather. Or what's another good example? I watched The Wicker Man recently. I don't know if I liked it. I'm still processing it in my head. Movies like that, they're gritty and they're noisy. I don't know if noisy is the right way to describe it. They're grainy and the microphone sounds different. It's different than just putting a film grain on a piece of modern, on a modern shot. It's different than that. It feels different. Or maybe Monty Python and the Holy Grail. That's not peak cinema or anything. That was a comedy, although it was fucking hilarious. One of the best comedies I've ever seen in my life. They have a different feel to them. You could maybe mimic that by shooting with modern cameras and using certain effects, both visual and audio effects. But I wonder if I would be able to shoot with old ass cameras from the 70s. I wonder if that's unrealistic. Do you think that would cost a lot of money to do? How much do you think that would cost compared to modern film production equipment? Is that technology even still around even? I don't know, because I want to shoot this like a noir film, almost. Similar to those that existed in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. I want to get that feel, that old nostalgic feel. But I want to pair it with, I low-key have to fart. It was a silent one. I want to pair it with modern music. I want to have a nice dichotomy there. If you have an old-ass looking movie, but you pair it with songs like hyperpop songs, anti-pop songs. You might not even know what these genres are. They're kind of niche. And then rap, hip-hop songs. That might not be your thing, but it would be interesting I have a whole playlist ready for it, even. It would be interesting to put modern music in there with the old, grainy, gritty film and audio. That seems so cool to me, to contrast those two things. But his daughter has this power to make anyone around her happy for almost no reason, more than an average child could do, and it progresses into her teenage years and her adulthood. So this king, he finds this out. He takes some kind of visit to this peasantry somehow, for some reason, to maybe examine it for resources or something, or to make certain demands, and he comes in contact with this guy's daughter, the main character's daughter, and he instantly falls in love with her like a daughter. Not in a weird sex trafficking way, like genuinely like a daughter. He wants to parent her or some shit. I don't know. I feel like this is coming off a little strange. But he's this king who feels so empty inside. He's so rich and powerful, but he is not able to feel joy. He has nobody who truly loves him. They're only with him because of the power he has. So he kidnaps this girl. And I don't want to make it sound like he's doing a good thing here. I don't want to make him sound like a good guy. This is a bad dude. It's a fucked up thing to do. He takes her away from her parents, and the main character, the peasant king, doesn't know how to get her back. And we're also going to be experimenting with, this brings us to another thing, we're going to be experimenting with reincarnation and multiple personality disorder / schizophrenia. One hearing voices in their head. But this movie kind of asks a weird hypothetical question of, I know I'm doing a lot of things here, a lot of shit's going on, but it's probably going to be a long movie because it's going to be hard putting all this together. It's going to ask the question, this is not a realistic question, it's kind of a fairy tale question, not even fairy tale, fictional, unrealistic. What if having voices in your head was a good thing? What if these voices were helpful? What if they gave you something that you didn't have before? What if they had different specializations? Like, one of the voices in your head knows a lot about persuasion and communication, how to get what you want out of people, like what we were talking about before. What if another one of them knows a lot about fighting? Another one knows a lot about business. Another one knows a lot about plants, craftsmanship, different skills. Like, they're experts in his head. And they teach him shit. They advise him on shit. So it flips the idea of the disorder that is multiple personality disorder, or it could be classified as schizophrenia, on its head. What if it was a good thing? It's not, but what if it was? What would that look like? And I think he's going to use these people that he's got to his advantage, and they're going to slowly teach him how he can overtake the throne and do it silently. And throughout the whole movie, I think while he's taking over the throne, nobody's going to know about it. Everyone's still going to think he's just some lowly serf, peasant. He's never going to change out of his rags that he's wearing. Because I read this in a book one time, one of the most powerful things you can do is convince people that you're nothing to worry about. If no one even knows what he's really doing, if he's doing it so subtly and sneakily, and nobody figures it out, then he's truly won the battle. And through these evasive power tactics, what if he can get his daughter back? And I mentioned reincarnation. I'm thinking that maybe this dude, the main character, let's call him Joe. His name is not going to be fucking Joe, but let's call him Joe. And his adversary, the antagonist, let's call him Louis, after Louis XIV. I'm thinking about playing around with the concept of eternal enemies. Two people who have been reincarnated time after time after time to just fucking hate each other. To just completely dislike each other and battle and outmaneuver one another. And maybe one of them, Joe, has certain traits and certain strengths, and the other one has other strengths. And it's kind of a battle, maybe of brains versus brawn, or manipulation versus brute force, something along those lines, or acquired power versus power that you're born with. Certain philosophies surrounding those dynamics. And maybe in past times they were Julius Caesar and Brutus. And if you don't know that story, Brutus betrayed Julius Caesar and took a big part in his assassination. Maybe before that they were Napoleon Bonaparte. And who was Napoleon up against? Honestly, he was kind of a fucking dickhead in and of itself, who had to be taken down by like the entire rest of Europe. So maybe that's a bad example. What are some other reincarnation potentialities for these characters? Maybe leave them in the comments. Who are some historical figures that really fucking hated each other? Martin Luther and the Pope. Those dudes fucking hated each other, but that's around the same time that this story takes place. I can't think of anything else. Please, if you have any ideas, leave them in the comments. If you have any ideas for any of this, I'm very willing to take suggestions from YouTube comments. Like, I don't know, I kind of want to crowdsource ideas for this shit. I want it to be kind of a group project. I want to participate with you. So if you have anything for me, I will listen to what you have to say. I don't get that many comments right now. This video might get fucking 15 views. So I'm wondering, like, maybe this will be the last lifetime that they have. What if all the past lives where they've conflicted with each other and hated each other have come up to this one, and this is the last one for some reason? But why? Why would it be the last one? What would have to happen? And what if the daughter is also being reincarnated as this beautiful soul that completely foils them? And by foil, I mean, like, is completely opposite to both of them. She's pure and happy and content with life. And both of these dudes are, I don't know, miserable. And maybe they've been fighting over this power, over this ability to achieve happiness that she represents. Maybe they've been fighting over it for years and years because neither of them have really been able to grasp it. This is all conjecture right now. I don't know what part of this story I'm going to keep and what part I'm going to scrap. But I'd love to hear your thoughts about this. I haven't started writing the script yet. I think I'm going to need to do some research first about how life used to be back then in the Middle Ages, how people used to talk, if I'm going to make the dialogue more close to how they spoke back then. I don't think I'm going to. Recently, Christopher Nolan did The Odyssey. I just watched it the other day, and he kept the dialogue very modern, and I liked that. I kind of liked that. So this is I'm just dumping all of my ideas onto this video, and let me know if you have any of your own, or if you have any insights or criticisms or comments or things you like about it. That's all for today. My name is Luke, and this is Castles in the Air. Goodbye.